Hey, what's up, YouTube? We're going to be taking a look at some fun Reddit posts today. Today, we're going to dive into r/off my chest. There's always all kinds of interesting stories. When you need to get stuff off your chest, it's not usually something light, right? It's always something juicy. Whoa. 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 This is the most of all time. All these awards. And it says, I hate my life. I hate my kid. I resent my family. I resent my in-laws. I resent my wife. I hate myself. This is almost the highest thing of all, right? The only thing higher than this is the CSA story. And this has way more awards. Guys, how is that the best? All right. We're gonna quench the thirst real quick and get into it. I think what happens is a lot of people get married too young, and you don't really know who the fuck you're gonna be when you get married super young. That is, if you choose marriage based off island things, which again, I'm pretty sure this just means sexually, visually appealing, right? Looks good in a bathing suit. That's a bad idea. That's generally a bad idea. Because there's a lot more to someone than them looking really good in a bathing suit at the beach on the island. Let's see. I never wanted kids, but was never adamantly against having one. I get married. My wife knows how I feel about kids. When we were engaged, my answer was maybe one, definitely not more. As my friends started having kids, I started leaning heavily against having kids. Some parents had good kids. Some parents had bad kids. There's no such thing as kids that are just born bad, dude. It's generally bad parenting or influences that they run into at school, right? Cue my wife's sister dying. All of a sudden, family is super important to my wife. I get that. At this point, my answer to kids was still no. My wife bothered me and bothered me. Eventually, I was convinced. The deal was her parents would sell their ranch and come live on our street. Interesting. I was convinced. I was so dumb. I was told not to worry about all the realities of having a kid and losing my life because grandma and grandpa are down the street and would be all the parents a baby ever needed. That's not true. You got to be involved still too. Since my wife's sister died, she was the only hope for grandkids. My wife and her parents worked me over so good they convinced me. They made good points. My wife's parents were in their 50s in good health. They would be here beyond the baby phase and would have enough energy to keep up with a kid. This is funny. I know. It's not smart. It's not smart. We've had this conversation before on this thing, right? And I even kind of was saying it here in this. Is like, the number one thing you should be looking for serious relationships is shared values. Honestly, like, notice your list, dude. Your list also, you did not say shared values. You just said cooking, grip strength, golden tongue, whatever that means. What does that mean? Like witty? A zodiac sign, which is fucking dumb, doesn't matter at all. And then has passive income. You didn't mention values at all. Unless maybe cooking for each other, it could be considered a value, right? Home cooked meals and not eating out shitty food. That could maybe be a value, but not, right? You missed it too in your list. Shared values. Number one. Zodiac signs not matching is not relevant at all. Zodiac signs is a silly deal. That's what I'm saying. I'm actually shocked, and I'm pretty positive you're trolling on the Zodiac sign thing. I'm shown enough Disney movies and Kodak moments and am promised that I just have to be a good dad and provider. A 1950s dad, if you will. One where the mom unfairly does all of the hard stuff. All the good and no bad. Cool, fine by me. It's not unfair if she's staying at home and you're going to work. This is something that needs to die off in the modern world. People pushing this idea that it's unfair. It depends on what the relationship dynamic is. If the dude is working and you're able to stay at home, then it's absolutely, that is like the 50-50 trade you guys are making, right? My husband and I are both Cancer zodiac signs. There's definitely some stuff to it, but bro, there is nothing to it. The signs mean absolutely nothing. I don't know who needs to hear that, but they mean absolutely nothing. I promise. Now, they mean stuff if you choose to believe they mean stuff, right? It's like placebo effect. I'm sure you could make realities out of it. But it's absolutely totally silly. It's literally more silly to me than, like, the best part about zodiac signs is it's always It's always believed in and talked about by people who are not religious, and it's literally just another form of religion. It's just as silly and just as superstitious as any of the big religions that people like to make fun of. Yeah, I have. Bro, you don't think I've ever been with a girl before who made me do my entire fucking zodiac chart? Of course I have. They are literally intentionally worded to be like vague generalizations and such that like most people, there is like a very... This is how psychics and everything work. They use things that kind of sound profound, but are actually, when you dig into their core, they're pretty general so that they have the ability to apply to a wide amount of people. And so most people can read the shit and be like, oh, you know, that kind of sounds like me, and that sounds like me. Maybe not this one little thing here, but oh yeah, man, that kind of sounds like me. Oh, here we go. Well, here we are, 11 years later. My kid has ODD, obsessive compulsive disorder? No, ODD. Not ODD. What's ODD? Shut up, dude. What is ODD? We have to... Oh! ODD is oppositional defiant disorder. If this is a real thing, I personally don't think this is a real thing. I mean, I don't like this being categorized as like a disorder, right? But if this is an actual disorder, I have it also. Oppositional defiant disorder is basically someone who just at their core absolutely fucking hates being told what to do. Like, you cannot tell me to do something and not give me a logical reason why. I'm not that type of person. It doesn't matter if you're my boss at a job or whatever. I'm the type, if you can't explain to me why it needs to be done and it has to be done the exact way you say, I won't fucking do it. The only time I've ever walked out on a job was a job where I was doing a good job. I was keeping up with the production numbers and everything else, right? And the fucking lady manager just like, she was just one of those kind of had a hard on for using her power. And she told me to just do the thing different. And I was like, why? I'm doing it. The conveyor belt, it was like in a factory conveyor belt thing. I'm like, everything is moving fine. I'm not holding up the production. It's all going the way it's supposed to. You're just nitpacking me. And then so I asked her why. And she just repeated herself again. And I was like, why? Why? And she just repeated herself again. And I was like, you fucking do it then. That's it. It was the only time I ever walked out. All she had to do was give me a why. And I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, makes sense. If you can't give me a why, I'm not doing it. And I think that's important. That's how you avoid becoming like a pure order follower, say, who commits horrible acts because you were ordered to do it. And it's never an excuse afterward, right? Like soldiers, when they end up getting like, right, when they have like war crime trials, right? They don't get to use the excuse of I was ordered to do it as an excuse and get out of the legal ramification, right? It doesn't work. You have to think for yourself, which means you should know why you are doing things. Let me catch up on comments real quick. My island baby wants a good-looking man with a unique background, big muscles, great artist, and blunt. Oof. I mean, good luck on the blunt one, man. Good luck on the blunt part. I have literally made relationship like agreements with, again, keep in mind every time I talk about stuff and it sounds weird, I'm highly likely on the spectrum. So when I go into relationships with people, I'm the type of person who puts things out up front. I have literally made agreements with women to say that we value honesty so much that we should always be honest, even if it's blunt and it hurts our feelings. And then like 3 months into the relationship, they fucking hate you for being honest anyway, dude. Being blunt doesn't really work. If you want to be with women and have relationships work, you should probably learn how to be tactful and not blunt. That's just my personal advice as someone who is really overly blunt, and it has ruined multiple relationships, even when the woman agreed and said she liked that level of honesty. And Pettigrew has a medical term for me now. Why do people hate honesty? I don't know, Pettigrew. It's really irritating. Right? It's really irritating. As someone who likes to communicate that way, it's one of the #1 reasons I avoid relationships is that I don't have the patience for like how you have to, right, like sugarcoat everything and not just communicate directly and like bluntly and honest. It's so out of my character. All right, and we got pretty off track there because of the ODD, but this is something that literally, if this is an actual disorder, I have it. But I don't believe it's a disorder. I think it's just a thing they label on people. Because we live in a society where usually you can get people to do shit without telling them why. All you have to do is be an authority figure, and then you just tell them, because I said so. And I don't think that's good. I personally think that's bad, and that it's much better for someone to be resistant to authority and to question the whys. Okay, so My kid has ODD, which is pretty much alphabet soup for your kid being an asshole and defiant. Like, this is the problem. We live in a society now where people expect compliance. They want compliance without earning the compliance. And especially parents a lot of times have this issue. And I disagree with it. This is one of the areas where I think I would be a good parent because I am not like that. But then I'm also impatient and I would, likely be an impatient butthole. Right. Nothing else is wrong with them. The diagnosis is literally that they are vindictive and cruel and seek That is not what ODD means. ODD is oppositional defiant disorder. It basically means they do not like being commanded by authority figures and told what to do. It doesn't just mean that they purposely seek conflict and they're cruel and vindictive. That is not what it means. Not because they can't communicate or are hypersensitive to stimuli, but just because. Also not fucking true. It means something in their core just does not accept and they cannot deal with just being commanded to do things unless you can explain a logical reason why. You could tell I side with the ODD. Guess what? Grandma and grandpa say the kid is too much. They haven't helped for more than a day, a month, in almost 7 years. Maybe part of the reason they have ODD is the fact that they have a father that doesn't really want to be involved in their life. And maybe it's actually a cry for attention. Have you ever heard about this? Like, this happens with dogs and it happens with children. It's a little bit less common in adults, but adults you'll notice kind of do it a little bit too. But if someone's really being starved of attention, right? So starved, eventually they will get to a point where they will do things for attention, even if that attention is negative, right? This happens with animals especially because animals can't understand logic, right? And so like if you really neglect your dog or your cat or your whatever for so much and so long, eventually it might do something like purposely pee on your bed or chew something up because like they will get attention. It doesn't matter that it's negative attention. They just desperately needed your attention. And I have a feeling there's a good chance here in this situation, that's what's going on. Since the dad has made it known the entire time that he doesn't want to be involved. And here I am on Reddit on my laptop, tethered to my phone in a parking lot at the park after dark. I came home from work to my son spitting on the neighbor's, I'm sure he just means spitting on the neighbor's doorknob, not to doorknob. His reason, get the neighbors sick. What? That's very interesting. I feel like usually if kids actually start to have vindictive and cruel tendencies, I feel like they're not born with this, that this was modeled somewhere. Whether it was like on TV or TikTok, right? A lot of parents like to let phones raise their kids and their kids are just scrolling YouTube and TikTok and shit all day. You don't know what they're getting. Why does he want them sick? His Amazon package got delivered to their house in the morning and they waited until evening to give it to him. Okay, so he doesn't understand the concept of patience yet. This is pretty fucking common for a kid. Well, it would have been it sounded pretty psychotic before they gave the reason, right? So they did something that made the kid mad, and he's a kid. And kids have to learn lessons. Like, children, before they learn, will do things like, all they understand is their internal want, right? Before they understand lessons and like social, right, and good parenting and all this stuff, all they understand is their selfish wants and desires. This is why kids will do things like hit another kid because they wouldn't let them play with their toy or whatever, right? And then you have to have the lesson and teach them like, yo, like you can't just hit people when you want to get what you want. And it's not going to work anyway. You're just going to make them not like you and they'll never let you play with the toy. So it sounds like he hasn't learned these lessons yet, but there was a reason. He didn't just do it just because, right? They did something that made him mad, and then his selfish child brain, right, doesn't understand other people having responsibilities and such, and like why that wouldn't be done. And it's a lesson moment. It's time for him to learn. Well, in returning, God, dude, this fucking guy cannot write. It's starting to frustrate me. Well, in returning for telling him not to do that, I don't even know how you're supposed to word that properly. My son went into the attic and peed all over the one banker's box of memorabilia I have from my parents, who both died before I was 20. What? I really have a feeling this kid doesn't like the dad, because the dad probably doesn't do a good job of not hiding the fact that he doesn't like the kid, right? He started the entire thing off with the fact that he didn't want a kid. He doesn't like the whole idea of kids, didn't want to be involved with the kids, try to get the other, right, the mom's parents to completely take care of the kid, yada, yada, yada. Oh my gosh, look at, all right, see, I already know the guy's the problem. You know how you know the guy's the problem is this paragraph here. All right, I left the house and I'm sitting in my car. I don't know if I'm coming back, okay? Next bit here is how you know the dude is definitely at fault. And I don't want advice. This isn't lack of discipline or bad parenting. I've read every book. I've worked shifts 6 days a week for a decade to pay for tens of thousands, probably 100,000 of therapy, behavioral counseling classes, you name it. You've probably done everything except be really involved. When you don't even want advice and you 100% can't understand or even accept that maybe you have a part to play, I like automatically assume that you probably do have a strong part to play. Because like a parent that cared and was good at being a parent, right? You would always be questioning. You would always be questioning, like, am I doing this right? And you would always be seeking more information, right? It's like me with my dog. I question it all the time. If any one little thing goes wrong, like I'm internalizing it and questioning, like, am I doing the right thing? Could I do better? What's the right? And I do research like all the time on like, you know, like what's the best to do here and this. And like, well, if I notice a behavioral issue, I start researching it and then I immediately question because I know children, much like dogs, are a reflection of their owner or their parent. Jeez, dude. He listed everything except be involved, right? It's like all of this outsourcing. This kid is probably desperately acting out because their dad is not involved in their life nearly as much as a dad should be. And you know what? I think if you're around, like if you haven't actually left the picture entirely, like you're there in the life technically, but you're not present, I think this can be like worse. I've noticed one of the negatives to streaming and like doing a lot of work from home stuff on social media and all these things and having a dog is that even though I'm technically around and home with my dog more than I would be working any kind of regular job, that I'm here but ignoring him for like long chunks of time. And I could tell sometimes he seems more depressed by that and that it's literally like better to leave and then come back and him get excited that I came back and then spend time with him, right? There's something about being there but not present that I think is really psychologically damaging to the thing that wants your attention. Because you're right there. They can fucking see you, but you still won't like look at them, basically. This is a great teaching moment for the parent, but they chose to talk shit about it on the internet. I agree, Pettigrew. Good job, parent. Big time agree. Okay, I read this and man, I want to punch this dad. Is this a troll? Yeah, man, I kind of feel like, I mean, this dad just made a huge mistake, like giving in and allowing all this to go. And then he's not been ever able to find it in himself to start doing the right thing and like really just be there for the kid. At the end of the day, it is my fault. I am so spineless. I knew I didn't want kids. Okay, well, here he is at least taking responsibility on this. Yeah, he shouldn't have had kids. He should not have had kids with her. He knew he didn't. He shouldn't have let... A kid is not a thing to have just to like appease the other person, you know? It is absolutely not. It's like the number one thing you should not be doing just to appease another person. I was convinced because, well, I'm a jellyfish. And here I am, 45 years old, crying in my car in the park. I mean, at least here is some self-reflection, honesty. My advice to other men and women out there, only have a kid if you 1000% want them. All right. Now he's bringing it back. He's bringing it back around. Don't listen to others when they say they'll help. They'll help if you have a happy, bubbly, easygoing kid. Not if you spawn the devil. Again, this part, you're reflecting it back on the kid. Children are I view children and dogs and such as reflection of parents most of the time. Because even if you want to say it's the outside society stuff, it's like, well, you're the one who gave them a smartphone and are letting them just aimlessly scroll TikTok all day to have their brain poisoned, right? My parents avoided letting me, their gay kid, learn to drive. I asked hundreds of times, but they were too tired, etc. That kind of thing is much more damaging than people think. I was angry about it for years. I got almost zero help from them. Someone else had to teach me. Since we are talking about ignoring kids being damaging. Yes. Yeah, man. I agree. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Yeah, he's not taking any responsibility for the behavior of the kid. You're right. But I do at least appreciate that he knows that, like, this part here, right? That this was dumb. He shouldn't have done this. And this statement here also is a really good statement. My sister has ODD. I remember growing up, living in a literal hell. I empathize with you, OP. It's hard. It's really... Oh, look at that, bro. I guess you're wrong. I mean, I guess you're right. And we're wrong. He found sympathy. My coworker's middle schooler has ODD, and she sent him to a special boarding school last year, and I've noticed huge changes in her kid since her kid left. She's lost weight, taken up her old hobbies, and generally seems to be enjoying life again. I'm surprised your wife doesn't want to send him, honestly. I can't imagine she wants... Dude, all the comments are just going to be... Holy f***, dude, it worked. He farmed sympathy. Oh my god, another person. Sympathy, you're not a bad parent. My sister had a boy when she was 9. Oh my god, my sympathies. Oh my gosh, dude, is there anyone who's not... My ovaries died while reading this. Finally! Do you think your kid knows you aren't that into him? Hey, Star Kitty, you have a good one. Thanks again for those bits. Really appreciate it. Do you think your kid knows you aren't that into him? And it's got it's the one with the awards and shit on it. You know, thank goodness. Here we go. Maybe some rationality coming in. I only asked because my best friend's daughter was diagnosed with ODD. And she was a Hellcat. Literally nobody liked her. She just had no appealing qualities at all. So none of us questioned her diagnosis at all. She hurt animals, other children, etc. When the Hellcat was about 9, her mother took her to an amazing child psychologist and was shocked when the psychologist asked her to book in several sessions for herself, the mother. We, the friends, thought it was probably to learn how to cope with the child's behavior, but it wasn't. She had never bonded with her daughter. She had her own issues that had caused this, with therapy to deal with some stuff and a routine established with rules. I don't know with of in there. Things such as board game nights while treating the child as she would a close friend, so no yelling, eye rolling, snapping at her, etc. But loads of laughing and praising everyone. Also making an active effort to find things about her child she liked. Don't get me wrong, she loved her and did loads of stuff for her, but she didn't like her. The kid had amazing endurance and was a crazy fast runner. And it was actually super funny when she was given attention rather than... You know what? This is also, before they even go any further, I don't know if this is going to make anyone mad, but I'm going to use the fucking dog analogy again. The dogs to children analogy again. Another time dogs act up and they fucking chew up your house and they shred your couch is if you don't give them the proper exercise stimulation. And they have energy in their body that needs to get out. And then it comes out in destructive ways. The same can be said for children and people. Dogs are not lame. Don't make me ban you, bro. I love dogs. Crazy fast runner and was actually super funny when she was given attention rather than grabbing it by being nasty. The need for attention and potentially also the energy and the need for expressing and getting the energy out of the body. Today, that kid is 23. She is in no way perfect, but the changes in her almost instantly were amazing. She still takes a bit of work to bond with, but she does some of the work too instead of pushing any niceness away. All I'm saying is don't give up and look at the world from your kid's point of view. It's got to be hella lonely being an arsehole, and they may not know any other way. I think my dad didn't want kids, and his inability to leave combined with his lack of love really fucked me up. Please choose one, OP. Damn, bro. Here's another one. Damn. Dude, these two comments here. This is like the GOAT comment on the thread, obviously, right here. And then this is a good, like, personal insight experience here. I think my dad didn't want kids, and his inability to leave combined with his lack of love really fucked me up. What did I say? Right? I said when you want the attention and love from someone and they're there and you can see them, but they never look at you and give it, I think it's worse than if you leave. It's more damaging to their psyche.